So I'm doing my informative speech on obesity. So for obesity, here's one statistic. So one statistic is based off of 2022. This is pretty much a map of US, DC, and other territories of the United States of whom have 30% of the body mass index equal or greater than. The next thing I have is what is obesity? So you're going to be asking what it is. So it is the condition or state of being excessively or abnormally fat. So in America, 66% of adults are fat, while worldwide it is 37%. For children in America, it's 29%, but worldwide it is 14%. The most common way to measure obesity is your body mass index, aka your BMI. How do you measure it? It's pretty much a person's weight in kilograms divided by the square of the height in meters. So kilograms over meters squared. The advantages and disadvantages of BMI. So the advantage is that it's quick and it's also easy to do with minimal cost. The disadvantage of this is that you can't really differentiate between lean muscle and fat weight. Now, are there other ways to measure it? Yes. So some of these include your waist circumference, waist to hip ratio, weight to height ratio, skin fold calipers, smart scales, hydrostatic weighing, and your body fat calculator. Now, are there other ways besides the 7 that I just mentioned? Yes. Am I going to list it? No. So the advantages to this is that it is a minimal cost depending on the method you choose. It is easy to do. There's very little equipment needed to do and very little equipment to bring with you. And it is pretty accurate depending on the individual. The disadvantages to this, it is not cheap. So for hydrostatic weighing, it is not cheap to do, and it also depends on where you can find it. So typically you'll find it at a university or a public college, but sometimes you even have to pay like $40 to $60 depending on the price. Smart scales, they are not expensive depending on the brand you get. So if you get an expensive brand like Fitbit, you'll be paying like around $70, but if you get like a much cheaper brand, you'll get maybe around $20. The second disadvantage is that you can't find the exact body part. So for hydrostatic weighing, you can't find it for your arm, you can't find it for your stomach, you can't find it for your leg. It pretty much tells you the whole entire body fat for your whole entire body. The same thing goes for a smart scale. A smart scale will tell you, like, if you're for example, if you're dehydrated, it will give you a different number, but if you're not dehydrated, it'll give you a different number as well. So it depends on what time of day you do it and what results you really want. Third thing is knowing where to exactly measure on the body. So you can easily do this on Google, but if you don't have Google nearby or not enough resources, then it's gonna be really hard to do. And the last thing is it's not accurate for every individual. So for hydrostatic weighing, for example, athletes, if they do this, it's not really good just because they have much denser bones. And the same thing goes for if you're like in the elderly or if you're pregnant or someone who's really obese, then it's gonna be really hard to do some of these methods. So the causes of obesity, one cause is poor dieting. The second is physical inactivity, which is pretty much you just being lazy or having a sedentary lifestyle. The third thing is genetics. And the fourth thing is stress. So for genetics, it kind of comes down to like your family's history. And then for stress, it's more of like the emotional and psychological and physical stress that comes behind it. So the health consequences of obesity. So there are 3 parts: physical, social, and mental, which is part of your health triangle. So for physical, it's diseases, especially heart disease. You also have cancer, you have type 2 diabetes, you have stroke, and many more diseases behind it. The next thing is mental health. So for mental health, it's more of like you'll have an increased risk of depression, you'll have more low confidence and low self-esteem, and increased risk of anxiety. The next thing is social health. So pretty much you have a poor quality of life, you'll feel discriminated a lot, and you will get bullied and teased for being obese. So the economic impact behind it. So one thing is that it's an increased use and cost of medical services. So depending on the individual, it'll cost between $1,500 to $1,700. The next thing is an 8.5 increase in your Medicare spending. And then the third thing is 15.2% in pharmaceutical spending. So for solutions and preventions, so one solution is a balanced nutrition and having more physical activity. So for at least nutrition, eating healthy and making good choices for what foods you eat and don't eat. And for the physical activity, making sure you get 150 minutes per week, so about 5 days exercise if you do 30 minutes a day. Second thing is raising awareness by promoting healthy choices. So pretty much me presenting this to the class, this is one way to present it. And there's other ways of just going outside and like protesting or going to your local government and telling them this information. The third thing, which kind of leads to this, is an increase in community programs and resources. I feel like this would definitely help out a lot because it will help reach to more people who don't really go on the internet or are just lazy. So in conclusion of obesity, pretty much it is a serious health issue with complex issues which poses a serious threat on individuals' well-being, public health, and the healthcare systems worldwide. On here I have all my resources, and that is it.